need to locate a leak, we can perform an electronic water leak detection to find your underslab plumbing leak. Find the service you need right here at In-House Plumbing Company, where serving you is our business. Okay, we're going to talk about water leaks at this point, water leaks. First of all, I want to give you some general information about how the water lines are actually run in a normal situation for under the slab. Okay, let's just assume that this is your concrete slab. Okay, you're now looking at this as if you were looking at your house. This is your concrete slab. Okay, and then let's say the way it works with water lines, especially copper water lines underneath a slab, is the line actually comes from above the slab, loops under the slab to another location, and back above the slab. And the reason for this is so that there are no fittings under the slab. You don't want fittings under the slab for copper pipe. And so what they did is they came up with a way of actually looping it. And so what then would happen is it would go up to like a commode or a faucet or something like that, kitchen sink, whatever, and it would tee back down and go to another place. Okay? And let's just say it went this way, which I can't draw that right now, but okay, it would go back to another place. And what you would have here is you would have hot and cold water lines that were doing this. Okay? So generally, if you have a leak under the slab or a slab leak, okay, in a water line, it is going to be some sort of a pinhole leak. Okay? It may be a little bit bigger than a pinhole, but it is not going to be a fitting leak generally, unless you've had a repair before. If you've had a repair before and that repair was not done properly, you could actually have a leak at a fitting. But this is how the water lines are actually run. Now let me kind of show you on the diagram, on the house diagram, how that actually would kind of play out. Let's assume that our water line, water meter is in the front. The line would come from the meter, okay, to the house. At the house, you would have a cutoff valve, a place where you could actually isolate the line. You could turn the water off to only shut the water off to the house while still having water in the yard, okay, in the yard line. Some houses have cutoffs, some don't. Some of them have them, but they've never been uncovered. They've been buried ever since the house was built, literally, okay? So what you got here is a situation where we're just going to assume that our pipe actually comes in from the meter, cold water at this point, goes all the way to the water heater. At the water heater, it will go up in the wall, as we said, okay? So go up in the wall and actually go to the water heater, and then from there, hot water would come out of the water heater and go feed the whole house, okay? And again, you would have a tee off of the water line that would take the cold water to wherever it needed to go in the house from there. That is generally how things are done. Every situation is a little bit different, but that's basically how it's done. So let's just assume that in this case, okay, it came from the water heater, okay, to the washing machine and looped, okay? And then it came from the washing machine to the kitchen, okay? And then it came from the kitchen, looped, again with no fittings, to the bathroom over here, okay? And then from there, it went to an outside faucet. Again, looped, no fittings under the slab here, just as we said, looped under the slab, okay? Now, we still have to get water to over here. Generally, they would probably run a water line such as this over to this bathroom and now, all of this is hot water. I'm using red to illustrate hot water, okay? Now let's say we're talking about cold water. They would run it typically the same way, okay? And something like that, and something like that, okay? So that would generally how it would be, how your lines would be, And they could run this all the way across here, and then run from here to over there, run over here and run over here. None of that really matters. The bottom line is it's looped under the slab. There's a lot of different ways they could actually run the pipe underneath there. Generally, copper comes in a 60-foot roll, so it comes in a roll. It's actually what they call soft copper, and so you can roll it out. You would have no fittings on that, looped. Okay, so all of your fittings would be inside the walls. Okay, now we would at this point, the first thing we would do is test the water system to see if there's any leaks. Okay, let's say there was no leaks, nothing has to be done, everything's good. Let's say now that there are leaks. Okay, if there are leaks, at that point we would have to locate the leaks. Okay, and we use special equipment to locate the leaks. The first thing we do when we're locating leaks is we locate the lines. Now, do we have to locate all of the lines when we're locating leaks? No, we don't. There's a lot of different things we can do to try to narrow down where the actual leak might be. Let's just say we located it to this area over here in our narrow down process, okay? At that point, we could just locate the lines in this area, okay? Once we locate the lines in this area, we could then determine, at that point we'll use some high-powered listening devices, okay? And we have different types of different listening devices. Electronic leak detection, okay, is part of this. There's also another way of doing it as well. But we would do that and actually listen. We would pump air into the system, okay? So we get air and water in there and start listening for actually escaping air, water, etc. In the lines to see if we can actually hear that bubbling, etc. Okay, through the actual concrete slab. It is very difficult, one note, to actually locate leaks that are under a hardwood floor, especially if it is a floating hardwood floor system. It's difficult to actually hear through that hardwood floor system. So that's just an important note. There's a couple of other scenarios that can make it difficult. But let's say we actually narrowed the leak down to this area over here, okay? And in the process of narrowing that leak down, we go ahead and actually locate the lines in this area, okay, here, to see exactly where all the lines are, okay? At that point, we would begin to hone in on actually where the leak is. In our scenario here, we're going to say that the actual leak is right here, okay? And we're going to say that it's on the cold water line, and it is right here on the line going to the outside faucet. Now, at this point, we really have several options as to what to do about fixing this leak, okay? Technically,